Hello, we are Sarah and Emma, two student speech pathologists at the University of Sydney. Today we will be speaking about the importance of phonological awareness skills for reading and writing.
First, we would like to acknowledge the Gadigal people, the traditional custodians of the land we are meeting on. I would also like to pay my respects to the elders both past and present and extend that respect to other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are present here today. Phonological awareness is a broad term that refers to the ability to focus on the sounds of speech, as opposed to its meaning, and has a number of different components. It involves the ability to hear, recognize, and manipulate sounds in spoken language. It is a group of skills including rhyming, recognizing alliteration, segmenting sentences into words, identifying syllables in words, as well as blending, segmenting, and manipulating words. These skills develop over time and are crucial for reading and writing success. Phonological awareness is particularly important during the early stages of reading development, in preschool, kindergarten, and first grade. Evidence shows that measures of phonological awareness, particularly at the phoneme level, are powerful predictors of reading success and can predict early literacy performance more accurately than variables such as intelligence scores, vocabulary knowledge, and socioeconomic status. Providing explicit teaching on phonological awareness can help promote strong reading and writing skills for students. In this presentation, we'll be providing specific examples of how to build phonological awareness skills and the importance of each of these aspects of phonological awareness.
This visual shows the hierarchy of skills involved in phonological awareness. The steps are from less complex to more complex skills. The development is typically breaking words into syllables, rhyme, alliteration of initial and final sounds, blending onset rhyme segmentation, segmenting initial and final sounds, blending sounds into words, segmenting words into sounds, and finally, deleting and manipulating phonemes. The visual also shows a portion which is phonemic awareness, starting from onset rhyme segmentation. Phonemic awareness and phonological awareness are two different things. Phonological awareness relates to all of these skills, the umbrella term, whereas phonemic awareness relates to the ability to identify and manipulate individual sounds, or phonemes, in spoken words, and that is why it begins at onset rhyme, as this is where phonemes are focused on.
Identifying syllables. The first step or component in phonological awareness is identifying syllables in words. The ability to break up words into syllables is an important skill in helping students read more accurately and fluently. Understanding syllables can also help students learn to spell words correctly. When students learn to confidently break words into their syllables, they benefit in multiple ways. One benefit is the increase in reading fluency, as they are able to break up the words into their chunks as they read. A second benefit is that students are better able to focus on processing the meaning of groups of words instead of how to pronounce the word. This is important to ensure stronger comprehension of the text and the content of what they are reading. A third benefit is that it improves the student's ability to decode words into their workable chunks and further improves the student's spelling accuracy, as they are able to sound out each chunk. Overall, syllabification forms the foundation for early phonological awareness skills. There are many practical ways to teach syllables in the classroom. Some tactile cues include clapping or tapping the beats in words. Visual cues include using blocks, pom-poms, or lines or squares on a board to represent the parts in a word. Syllables can also be included into explicit writing instruction of words by drawing lines in between the syllables of written words to further build their understanding.
Rhyming is an early developing phonological awareness skill that requires children listening closely for sounds within words. This helps young children to recognize that words are made up of separate parts. Rhyming is an important phonological awareness skill and is a predictor of later reading achievement. This is because rhyming helps students to discover many common word patterns, such as those in quick and stick, or down and crown. The more familiar these patterns become in oral language, the more easily children will recognize them when they begin to encounter them in print. An early goal is to have children listen to a pair of words and decide whether or not the words rhyme. The complexity of rhyming tasks then increases to students generating their own rhyming words. Examples of targeting rhyming in the classroom include having students listen to and identify rhymes in books or songs. For example, in a reading activity, ask the students to listen for rhyming words and to raise their hands when rhyming words are heard. To step up this activity, you can prompt the students to think of other words which rhyme with the target rhyming pair. To further build students' rhyming skills, it is also important to encourage parents to engage in phonological awareness activities at home. Taking turns coming up with rhyming words when you're driving in the car, for example, is an easy way for parents to further build their children's rhyming skills.
Alliteration is a great way to express and draw attention to something important within a sentence. It involves the repetition of the same sound at the beginning of two or more words in a phrase or sentence. Alliteration can help students learn to recognize word parts by identifying the first sounds in words. Similar to rhymes, alliteration also helps emerging readers predict what comes next and to join into reading. Practical ways to target alliteration include reading alliteration books and encouraging students to create their own silly sentences following fun prompts to get them started. It is also important to encourage parents to build their child's alliteration skills. Similar activities can also be done at home, such as creating those silly sentences in the car or picking books which have high levels of alliteration throughout.
The next component of phonological awareness is onset rhyme. Onset is the consonant or consonant cluster within a syllable that comes before the vowel. The rhyme is the part of the syllable that contains the vowel and any remaining consonants. The ability to segment the onset and rhyme in words usually precedes full phonemic awareness. It's important to focus on the rhyme and show that rhyme is the matching part of the word. For example, bat, cat, rat, hat. At is the rhyme, and the other starting sounds are the onsets. We want to avoid confusion around segmenting the word into its onset and rhyme for future segmenting of sounds in words. Practical ways that onset rhyme can be taught in the classroom is providing cutouts of rhymes, and students are required to put the onset tile in front. It can also be taught through modelling, how we break up a word into its onset and rhyme, and the students copy the model.
Segmenting and blending are incredibly important aspects of phonological awareness, helping students to better identify the words that make up sounds, and those sounds work together to create words. Segmenting is the process of breaking down a word into its individual sounds. Blending is the process of combining sounds together to create a word. In regards to the hierarchy, segmenting initial and final sounds come first. Then, further up the hierarchy is segmenting words into its sounds. These phonological awareness skills help students build their reading and spelling skills, which are both essential in the classroom where we learn to read, goes to reading to learn, and writing to demonstrate knowledge are very common forms of assessment. Practical ways to practice this includes using a whiteboard and having students identify the sounds in target words, using letter magnets to highlight which letters represent each sound. For kindergarten, start with words that have only two phonemes, for example, am, no, or in. It is easiest to begin with continuous sounds, or phonemes that can be held for a beat or two without distorting the sound. These phonemic prompts are very effective in helping students correctly segment words. As students are ready, it is recommended to progress to words with three phonemes, or CVC, and gradually progress to CVCC and CCVC words like nest or play, and then CCVCC words like sport. As students start to do this autonomously, it would be of great benefit to encourage parents to ask their children to segment words, such as by asking, "What are the sounds in sun?" as they are in conversation or reading a book together.
Manipulating sounds refers to the ability to substitute, delete, or change the sounds in our words. This skill helps students to become familiar with word structure and build fluency in reading and spelling. Students with strong phoneme manipulation skills, for example, will be able to sequence and isolate sounds in their mind, deleting or substituting sounds to produce different words. This is helpful when reading, as students will be able to differentiate between words with similar phonemes. And the more fluent these skills become, the more automatic reading and spelling can be. To target phoneme manipulation, we recommend using a whiteboard and visual cards of the letters, asking students to manipulate the sounds, taking away or substituting the necessary tiles. It is also important to differentiate the consonant changes versus the vowel changes. For example, start with the word log. Focus on changing only the consonants to change the word to dog, then make another change to change the word to dot. Once this is practiced, the activity can then change to changing the vowel sound. For example, log changes to lag. It's also important to note that during these activities, the words created can be both real and non real words. But we should be aware that the words created still obey English spelling rules, such as C being either a K or S sound. As students get better at these tasks, they should be able to do them in their minds. As this skill improves, parents should also be encouraged to build phoneme manipulation at home through asking questions such as, what would stop be without the S?
Identifying a student who is struggling in phonological awareness may first be noticed in difficulties with reading. Difficulty with phonological skills might become evident in classroom observations or assessments, even before the start of formal schooling. Children might display difficulty with noticing rhymes, alliteration, or repetition of sounds, or clapping out syllables or separating a compound word. They may have difficulty identifying the first sound in a word or separating a word into its individual sounds. Or they may have difficulty subtracting, adding, or substituting single sounds within a word, or recognizing and producing the correct sound for spelling patterns, even after practicing with them. They may have difficulty decoding new words, or after sounding out a word correctly, blending those sounds back together to read the word. They also may have difficulty remembering and automatically recognizing words, even after repeated opportunities to practice reading them. As mentioned previously, phonological awareness forms a crucial foundation for reading skills, and therefore it is important to identify students struggling in this area. There is already intervention targeted towards reading, such as through mini-lit and multi-lit. So these suggestions are more for ongoing support within the classroom to continue with learning and strengthening these phonological awareness skills.
For parents, it is important that phonological awareness is embedded into everyday activities to continue to build these skills and draw attention to the concepts of it. Here are some ways that you can practice and develop your child's phonological awareness skills at home. Rhyming games. Take turns coming up with rhyming words when you're driving in the car. For example, saying, tell me something that rhymes with hot. I'll go first. Hot, pot, you have a go. Now you give me a word to start with. You could also encourage listening closely to the sounds in words. For example, listen to the sounds in the word dog. D-o-g. Also, clapping or tapping syllables. Listen to the beats in the word tomato. Tomato. How many beats did you hear? Manipulating sounds in words. Ask your child to say words without one of the sounds in them. For example, what is mat without the sound? Reading books out loud. Choose books that rhyme or repeat the same sound and draw your child's attention to the rhyming words. Fox, socks, box. Those words all rhyme. Do you hear how they almost sound the same? You could also play I Spy. I spy something that begins with the S sound or the B sound. This draws attention to the sounds in words. And for an older child, you could introduce syllables like I spy something with 2 beats in the word, like a tractor.
As student speech pathologists, we thought it would be important to discuss the role of speech pathologists in phonological awareness. Speech pathologists are key contributors to phonological awareness teaching, instruction, and practice working alongside school teachers. Children with a history of developmental language delay or disorder are 4 to 5 times more likely to have reading difficulties than children from the general population. These difficulties tend to be persistent in nature and not readily resolved by classroom instruction. Specific interventions are therefore needed to help many children with spoken language impairments acquire efficient and fluent reading skills. Children with more severe reading, writing, or speech difficulties who are referred to speech pathologists may benefit from further phonological awareness interventions such as from a speech pathologist. It has a positive effect in improving reading performance in children with reading disorders and promoting a smoother path to successful literacy acquisition for many young children at risk of reading difficulties. Teachers and speech pathologists have a strong collaborative relationship in supporting children and their language development, and teachers have a large role in teaching these crucial phonological awareness skills. Referrals to speech pathologists are always welcome to further assist students in their learning.
To summarize, phonological awareness is a very important and broad group of skills that are crucial in forming a strong foundation for literacy skills. It is essential for reading because written words correspond to spoken words. Readers must have awareness of the speech sounds that letters and letter combinations represent in order to move from a printed word to a spoken word in reading or a spoken word to a written word in spelling. It's very helpful to build a parent's toolkit of games and activities that they can embed into daily activities and everyday life to further reinforce the concept that written sounds have a phonemic production. Speech pathologists also have an important role in providing intervention for phonological awareness to further develop these skills and form a stronger foundation for reading and writing skills.